It is indeed a privilege and a pleasure for me to introduce this to all of you guys and girls. UZ, I don't know if you've worked out what it stands for, UsizoZonke, which loosely means help everyone. And it's definitely about empowerment. I'm going to tell you why we're doing this tonight, and what's behind it. And we're going to take a little journey together. And if there's any questions after that, we'll take them. Just a second. Maybe I should put my camera on. Would you like that? Let's put my camera on so you can see what I look like. It's a little bit cold in Gauteng at the moment. So that's what we're going to talk about. And we're going to talk about us and how we are going to take this animal forward. Just tell me, is the screen changing?
It is.
Okay, so that's the agenda this evening. We're going to talk about the offer, what's on the table, the foundation of it. We'll talk about MyTechie. Many of you know what that is, but I'll share some other insights which you might not know about. We'll talk about the hard financials. We'll talk about the plans for the future, and we'll take questions. So that's the agenda this evening. Let's start at the top or at the bottom, depending on how you see this. It's a cooperative. I don't know what you know about the word cooperative, but essentially it involves mutual assistance, working towards a common goal. We are technicians, we are engineers, we are technically inclined people, and we need to work together and we need to form a united front when it comes to things like benefits, rates that we get paid. All of these things, we fight for the best for us, for our teams and for our cooperatives. And we can tell you some stories. I don't know if you've heard of the word Ubuntu. It's an African word which means humanity to others. I am what I am because of who we all are. And that's really where this is coming from. It's about helping one another and cooperating with one another and moving this thing forward in a way that's beneficial and fair. So that's what we're going to talk about. What is it effectively? Well, UsizoZonke is now the second biggest shareholder in MyTechie. There are a few other shareholders. The biggest shareholder is myself at the moment, but I'm now below 50%. But UsizoZonke is sitting at 30%. So the second biggest shareholder in this company, which I started, is now UsizoZonke. And there are a few minor shareholders as well. And the purpose of this shareholding of this company, which is now part of MyTechie, is to give you guys and girls an opportunity to take a stake in it. Many of you own your own small companies anyway, but this is now an opportunity to take a stake in a company which is working for your benefit and take a meaningful stake. Literally a meaningful stake, because this company owns 30%. It's going to help us and work together towards influencing the way this company goes. We want to introduce also a meaningful Black economic empowerment stake in the company. And there's a very good reason for that, not just a political reason, but it's the right thing to do. The only way we're going to make a difference in change in our country is to get people out of handouts and into decent work, working for themselves, by themselves, and for their benefit, using what we have, which is our youth and our skills. So as a company, we have our youth and our communities at our heart, and it's our objective, and my objective personally, to give you guys, our key stakeholders, an opportunity to participate in it. And that's what this is about. Obviously, we're also going to raise some funds, and those funds are for a very specific purpose. And that purpose is to give us the ability to recapitalize. You must understand, and I'll show you a bit later on, the kinds of transactions that we have to produce require expensive systems. And those systems don't come cheap. And I've chosen to go this route rather than going to borrow money from a bank or a single investor, because I feel it's better if we do it ourselves. There's going to be a lot of benefits down the line for that. So let's talk about that. There are different classes of assets that you can own as an individual. This particular asset is called equity or shares, but you can also own property, you could own vehicles, you could own cash, you could own Bitcoin, you could own gold or silver or precious metals. There are lots of different asset classes. So what we're talking about tonight is equity. And one needs to understand the character of that is more long-term. You can think of a farmer who plants seeds. Even before they plant the seeds, they have to prepare the land. They have to plow it. They have to get rid of the rocks and the roots. They have to turn the soil. They have to plant seeds. They have to buy the seeds. They have to hopefully water them, irrigate them, hopefully get rain, watch that harvest grow. Hopefully it doesn't get flooded or taken out by hail. Eventually, after a period of time, they will harvest those fruits or those seeds, and they will take them to the market. Then they have to try and sell them. It takes a while from the time that you start doing that kind of work to the time that you get a reward. And that's where we are in this business. We are technical people. We work with our hands, and that's an honest job. And we're able to put food on the table for our families, and that's important. So understand what it is you're getting into. It's not a short-term thing. If you want to take 100 Rand and turn it and get 200 Rand tomorrow, then you better go to the horse races or the casino, because this is not the place for that. This is a long-term investment, and it is going to turn a profit, but it takes time. It does take time. We're in this thing for the long run. You got to ask yourself, of course, what's important to you. And I feel what's important to me is probably the same thing that's important to you. I invest in myself. I value what I can do, and I'm prepared to back myself. So, and I know many of you have got the ability to do that as well. If you think about what it's invested in as a foundational entity, MyTechie itself, you can think of MyTechie like a funnel. What does it do? It opens the big doors for the little guys. We can't just go walking into an MTN or a Supersonic or a CBI or a Vodacom and just say, guys, give us work. There's a million hoops to jump through, but we can do it together. We can do it as a federation. We can do it as a collective, and we can knock on these doors and we can say, listen, guys, we'll give you an honest day's work for a fair price. And that's why we're investing in ourselves. And that's why we're bringing to bear a lot of experience and a lot of relevant network connections to assist us to build a team that can make a difference collectively. And we also do some filtering. You can talk to Sharon and some of the team. We've turned away business. People that come knocking at our doors, oh, you've got lots of technicians. We want them to do this work and that work. Oh, by the way, we're going to pay you 100 Rand. And then I just say, look, guys, thank you very much, but no, thank you. We're not so desperate. We're going to do things a little differently. So we do try and filter, and we've made a few mistakes, and we're going to fix those. But this is about making sure we get the best deals for our teams. A bit about me. Obviously, I'm started this thing, and I've come a journey. Those are the companies I've worked for in the 40+ years that I've been an employee. Now starting a few years ago to own my own business. But if you look at our website, there's a news section there, and you can see some of those articles about the journey that I've taken. And you'll find yourselves, each of you are taking a journey, and you will also leave behind a legacy of things that make a difference in your life and in the people around you. So I come a long way in telecommunications and engineering, and along that journey, I've met a lot of interesting people and still have made, I've got a lot of contacts and a lot of network, and that's the part now that's going to pay us some dividends. We are essentially, as individuals, the sum of all the choices we've made in our lives, a little bit of luck, and the environment and the people that have shaped us. And along my journey, these are the people and companies that have shaped me, as well as my family, of course. So this philosophy that we've developed of Ubuntu has resulted in us now getting involved in MyTechie as a team, in the true sense of what Ubuntu means, and reminding us that together we actually form a strong bond and a strong capability. So let's look at MyTechie quickly. Tech as a service. It's a platform business at its foundation. And what is a platform business? Well, a platform business is a business that's light on infrastructure. It doesn't have buildings and buckies and lots and lots of offices. It's light on that, but very high on value and systems. We cover all the major sectors, such as information telecommunications, ICT, renewable energy, smart energy, and we're moving into different market spaces as we get experience and as we get opportunity. We've built up a nice foundation of people, yourselves, over 1,800 now, and that's growing daily, and about 350 small companies, and all your companies that are involved here. And we present them on a as needed basis to the market. And there's been quite a lot of interest in participating for you guys. And this is where my heart lies, and the intention really is to empower. I see a lot of potential and a lot of opportunity in our young people. We could become the skills resource for global projects if we want to. We just need to make sure we get the right skills, the right training, the right mentorship, the right guidance, and we can leverage your skills. And just upskilling. The lady that you see standing on the roof there is a qualified electrician, but very quickly transformed herself to being a technician, wireless technician, fiber technician. Skills are easily adapted. We don't have to go to university now and get a 3-4 year degree and think that you're going to now be satisfied for the rest of your life with a job. It's unfortunately not the case. So we're addressing these things. We're trying to address unemployment in a different way. And we're very focused on things like quality and health and safety and these kinds of things. So that's what we're doing, and that's where we are moving forward in. We're tired, actually, of asking the government for help. We're tired of asking others for jobs. We're doing it for ourselves now. If you are self-employed, you're employed by yourself. We're not looking for a boss. We're looking for customers, and we are satisfying those customers. So what's the model? Well, very briefly, it looks at the buyer side of the market and the supplier side of the market, and it does a matching. That's all it does. A little bit of oversimplification there, but we do clip some of the funds, you know, about that, between 5 and 25%. It's currently 15% of the work that we bring, but we add a lot of value for that. We're B2B. We do a lot of things to try and make sure this thing is fair and viable. We also are building a revenue stream from the upstream side, where we provide consultancy, we provide project management, we provide contractor management. We add a lot of value to the supply chain side as well. You know, the reports that we produce, that you produce through the app, are being taken seriously. They're very useful. And in a way, we've looked at how Uber works, how Airbnb works, and we're trying to do things differently. We don't want to copy essentially what they're doing. We want to build in a lot more systemic beneficiation in terms of what we're doing. These are our customers, the main ones at the moment, and they're growing. More and more different customers come online. These are the types of customers that we're talking to, that are talking to us. Excuse me. And they want to work with us. They want to use us. We just have to tick a few separate boxes, but we're doing that. And we're doing it for you and for your benefits. So you don't have to go and get a tender from one red, yellow, green, or blue. You can get all this work in your particular area where you live, around you. We're very well networked with a number of partners, reputable partners like the Digital Council, the South African Institute of Electrical Engineers, the IT Professional Association, many of the learning institutions. And we use them and work with them from a systemic benefit point of view, from a continued professional development point of view, to make what we offer very professional. Just in terms of numbers, this year we've had 5 months of our financial year. Our financial year started in March. We've been able to give over R500,000 rand to small companies, to many of your companies, for various work that we've done, mainly in the air fiber world, but we've also done structured cabling, we've done some electrical work and various projects, and that's the number we've been able to produce to pass through to 20 small companies in the first 5 months of this year. It might not sound like a lot of money, But it's small beginnings. It shows that the system works. It shows that there is an interest in the market, and we're able to account for everything. What do we do? Well, we work magic. we know, the CVs that you've given us. We know what you guys and girls can do. We know where you live and where you're moving. We know what the market needs, and we find a way to mix that together. We offer to customers a whole range of services, from sales, lead generation, upselling, surveys, maintenance, installations, smart hands, basically. We are the techie. We say we give you the edge. Why? Because we live there. And that has a number of benefits. What you may not have noticed is that we can take a job spec like the one that you see there for a bridge, and we can unpack that job spec and say, well, it needs grey blocks, light grey, dark grey, this shape, that color, some green and red and some yellow. And we can look at what the technicians have in their toolbox and in their skill set, and we can bring together 2, 3, even 4 technicians in a team to be able to meet that job spec. And that's why one technician wouldn't have got the job, but teaming up, we're able to create that opportunity for you. Taking it a little bit further, you can see that particular job spec requires blocks in the area of skill, 1, 2, certification, 1, 2, 3, some resources, and we find 2 technicians. We build the smallest team that we can to solve for that job equation, if you like. But we don't stop there. We go back afterwards and we encourage technicians to augment their skill set with micro courses, small courses or additional certifications that they can get to improve their opportunity and revenue earning capability. That's where we do a gap analysis, and we assist you to try and get better opportunities. We've put all of you into this MyTechie refinery, which I've got an analogy there of an oil refinery. You've gone through a number of hoops with us to check background checks, FICA checks, certification checks, and you come out of it, and whether you're an intern who's just got a qualification or you're a specialist, you can participate anywhere in that value chain and earn accordingly. You can get a job if you want to. Quite often you'll find a Vodacom or a Telkom or an MTN or a Frogfoot would take someone who's got real experience, field experience, before they will take someone who's just got a CV, and we can show that. So you can get jobs, or you can create your own jobs, stay in the mix, become a tech entrepreneur, build your own business, which is what we're hoping that you will do. Get a nice, good quality work-life balance. And if we can give enough work opportunity for you, around you, there'll be no need for you to take a formal job. In any case, if you do get a formal job, that's fantastic. But what happens is things get tough, you get retrenched, laid off, all sorts of things, but your skills stay with you. So this is where we're helping you hustle your tech. Talking to government is something we can do, and you can understand government will see this as it'll tick a number of boxes for government. We're hoping anyway to see that job creation is a big box that we tick. We're creating jobs for people to create their own jobs, and for every job that we issue, at least 2 or 3 other people eat off that same table, because you've got an assistant or 2 assistants, and you're creating at least 2 or 3 jobs per job that we create here. Economic empowerment. Why? Because 85% of the money we bring in is going to you. We have to eat ourselves, so we're eating the 15%, but there's a huge amount of empowerment. This is not just one BE person eating all the money and distributing it. This is really broad-based, so there's huge economic empowerment here, huge amount of skills development. Pandemic resilient. Why? Because you don't need all to come into an office. You can work from home. You can create, if you're not sick, you can move around. We don't have collective germ distribution. Eco-friendly. Why? It's green, because if I need someone to do some work in Polokwane, I don't have to send somebody from Johannesburg. I can actually find someone in Polokwane or in Saldanha Bay or in Nelspruit, Mbombela if I need to. So we can save a lot of transport, and transport costs are expensive, never mind the green effect. So that's what we're about. You know that. I don't need to tell you anymore. We're a tech business, and we're using tech to our advantage. We've got technicians, girls, boys, all over, and men, women, all over the country. a national footprint that's now available to various people. We're definitely breaking boundaries. We've got these qualified, certified artisans, electricians, technicians in good standing that we provide this app to, and we're turning them into not just an electrician or technician, actually a techropreneur, an entrepreneur who understands technical things, can sell, can install, can maintain, can interpret, and creating real solid, sustainable employment. So the value proposition that we're offering clients is this talent pool, this blended talent pool of service infrastructure candidates that is geographically spread and available. Coming back to the core reason for this evening's discussion is this entity now, the UsizoZonke, which, as I said, has got three main purposes. Give you an opportunity to take a stake in it and become part of it, to build a meaningful, broad-based Black economic empowerment ownership in the company, and to raise some funds for us to recapitalize and get the systems that we actually need to transact at the scale we need to. You guys and girls are our future, and we want to invest in you. So let me take you through some of the boring stuff, the financials a little bit. I'm going to go through this a little bit, maybe too quickly, or you can ask questions. But in year one, we started in February 2019, and it was a very rude awakening for me to suddenly realize that I had no income. So we had to make some changes. We only got one job in the first year, one job, to do a fiber to the business at a school in Broadacres. And that was it. No one else asked us to do anything. I knocked on doors, I went to have meetings, no business. It takes a while to build a brand. Year two, we got to 2020, and you all know what happened in 2020. March 2020, we all went into a global pandemic, a national lockdown. The world as we knew it came to a grinding halt. So we had to, rejig ourselves and fit a few things. We didn't get any work during the pandemic. It's a pity in a way, because if we'd started a bit earlier, it would have been great to have the capability during the pandemic. Nevertheless, 2022, so 2020 was like a blur. I just remember, stuck inside, locked in. 2022 financial year end, we saw a bit of hope. We saw the pandemic coming to an end. We started resourcing. We got employed a few contractors, got things moving, and then the global semiconductor shortage hit us. So it was work, but it was a slow amount of work. But we did start, we did get moving, we got going. But you can see from all of this that we've got a full set of accounts. Every year it's fully accounted for. We have an accountant, and everything is accounted for to the last cent. We have run this company based on shareholder loans. The shareholder has had to put money in, predominantly myself. And that's the only way we've been able to sustain ourselves up to now. But we're turning now. We're getting to the point now, after 3 years into our 4th year, where things are starting to turn. You'll see, if you want to see them, all of your financials are there. That's a summary of year 1 to 3 and the first 5 months of this year. We're not making a profit yet, but that's normal. That's understood. We are creating momentum. And one of the main things you've got to understand with this business is that it starts with a forecast, it starts with prospects, and it then goes into reality. What is the reality? Well, the reality is there's a lot of work to do. You know that. Supersonic, for example, we're expecting us to be able to cover at least 600 installs per month. They're only giving us about 60. And the reason for that is manifold. There's lots of moving parts. There's lots of dependencies. There are lots of things that we have to navigate here. But I know that there's a significant investment from an MTN point of view in infrastructure for air fiber, significant to the extent that they need to actually install over 600 a month, actually more than that, over 1,000 a month. But that will kick in. The whole marketing campaign will kick in. We've got a massive project that we're on the verge of doing with Circuit Breaker Industries, which is a old established South African electrical circuit breaker and component maker. They make the factory here in South Africa. They're part of the listed Reunert Group. And there's a letter of intent saying MyTechie is going to help us to install millions of smart energy devices across South Africa. So there's those projects that are coming. there's all these guys knocking on our door saying, please, we need your help. We need you to get involved. We're doing work for some of them. Checkmore will tell you about work we're doing for QCon. We are getting some structured cabling work. We're starting to get fiber work in now, and we're also resellers. That's another income stream we have. We're resellers of supersonic and other products, and that gets us commission. So there's going to be a change in the landscape as we go forward. So where we're going in the future is in terms of my understanding and my vision, is to decentralize the organization and democratize, if you like, the organization to the extent that we, as the stakeholders in it, take more ownership and control. If you look at nature, bees or birds or fish, they can swarm. They have a lot of intelligence around them, which makes them survivable. It's not one central control that's eating all the lunch and then distributing a few crumbs off the table. We're going to build an organization that's lean, that is democratic, that is empowering all the way through. And that's what we're trying to emulate. There are a few discussions I'm having with people about how we're going to do that. What are we trying to solve? Well, we're trying to solve a lot of problems which others have not successfully done. One of the things I learned in my time as president of the South African Institute of Electrical Engineers is that there are many qualified people that just can't find work. So what we're trying to do is break it down a little bit, say, okay, we're going to give you guidance on a pathway which will take you to where you need to be, but it's going to be micro courses, small market-related revenue earning. So from the time of your course to the time of earning money, it's going to be much shorter. Look at this example. We've got a client that wants 11 different certifications. You know about this. Some of you guys have got these certifications to do a job. They pay well, but you've got to have 11. So you've got to have defensive driving, health and safety, working at heights, first aid, risk assessment, safety health inspector. So a lot, and these are good skills to have, perfectly good skills. So we're going to help you get towards that so that we can monetize these things for your benefit. We're also going to be developing what I call a skills quotient. You guys have got CVs, but what does that mean? What does that really mean? It says you've done this course and you've qualified and you've got that, but can you really do it? The skills that we're looking at developing through our platform will migrate from the skill to the task to a standard operating procedure so that it can be repetitive. The picture that you see there, I don't know if those of you that remember in 2009, that particular aeroplane crash. In 2009, the Hudson River plane crash, the Miracle on the Hudson, that pilot, he must have had a standard pilot training, but he had a lot of experience and he knew how to work under pressure, and he managed to land that plane because it was a bird strike, took the engines out, land that plane, and 155 people were saved. There were some injuries, but no death. That comes from experience, and that comes from the ability to not only understand and have passed your training, but to really deeply understand it. And it's a bit like that with the skills we have. Those skills, when you get them the first time, you're actually starting to learn. It's only with experience that you start to get the credentials for it. And we'll be measuring that and mapping that and be able to give you a report. How many fiber splices have you done? How many fixed wireless installations have you done? What's your average rating for these things? And that way we'll make success predictable and repeatable for you. And it will be indisputable. So that's where we're going. We've got a lot of examples. We've got a lot of mentors. We've got a lot of people we look up to. And they've shown us the way. They've given us direction. And we want to leverage that spirit of humanity and Ubuntu to move forward together, where we can be stronger together. And that's why we're doing what we're doing, and why we're offering you this opportunity. And we've said, let's make it as affordable as we can. So what can you do with 100 Rand these days? Well, I don't know. I did a little quick survey on the web, and I found some things that you can buy. A bit of toothpaste. You can buy 6 milk cartons. You can't quite get a full bag of nappies. You get some chicken, maybe a couple of loaves of bread. What's a social grant these days? 350 Rand a month. That's what the government says they can give you. So, it's not a lot. and it's not a lot you can get for this this buffalo. You can't even get a full case of Zamalex, Jackie. I mean, I don't understand how you can get through a weekend if you don't have a full case of Zamalex. It's not enough. So what we can give you for one buffalo is one of these. It will be a share certificate. It will make you an owner. You can get 2 of them, get 5 of them, whatever you like. We'll have a nice. You can frame it, you can keep it, or whatever. But that's what we can give you for $100, and then you become a part owner of a company that owns 30%, the second biggest shareholder at the moment in MyTechie. And that's it. One buffalo. It's not the same buffalo that our buffalo soldier has got heard of, but it's you need to have skin in the game. You know, if you're going to do business, you can't just, it's not a free run. You have to put some skin in. When you wake up in the morning, you've got to have that feeling that I need to get something back. So that's what we're talking about here. Is there a minimum or a maximum? Well, in the prospectus, I've said there, well, the minimum is 1 share, but you can buy more than that. I definitely do not want any of you to extend yourselves to the point where you're borrowing money. No, do not do that. If you've got spare cash, drop it in the bucket if you want to, or maybe you want to, instead of giving your kids, I don't know, ice creams and stuff for Christmas, buy them a couple of shares. You never know. That might, they'll put it in their portfolio, and one day they'll say, but Dad, what's this? Oh, let's have a look. Oh, gosh, I can buy a car now or something. Well, that's kind of where we want to get this thing to go to. You're going to become owners, and you're going to help build your own future. So you talk to your spouse, your partners, and with your investment advisors, and see where and how much you want to invest. You can even invest a little bit monthly if you want to. We're not going to sell all these shares overnight. It's going to take a while. So, it's up to you. They are an asset. You can leave them to your family in your will. They are yours. Talk about investment risk. Whenever we talk about investment, there's a certain amount of risk. But in business, you have to take risk. That's how it is. We're not risk averse, but it's calculated, it's measured, it's done for a reason. But you have to understand that there is a risk and you can lose it. That's why I said, do not borrow money to do this. Do it if you can afford to, and do it in a careful way. The intention here is not to lose money. I've put everything into this thing. So I'm not here to lose. I don't lose. I either learn something or I win. So your underlying investment here is MyTechie. It is our company. That is what you're investing in, which is us. That's what we do. We've got good anchor tenants. We've got good prospects coming. We're working well with Supersonic, CBI, QCon, and others. The business philosophy remains the same. To take the technical competence in our communities, the talent pool that we have, and drive as much economic benefit as possible back down to you guys. Coming to an end now. So what's the process? The process is simple. 1, 2, 3. There's an online form that you can fill in. If you haven't got access to that form, you drop me an email at that email address there, UsizoZonke@MyTechies. We'll send you the form. There are some questions that you have to answer. We'll assess your application. We'll send you back the details of where to make a deposit. You pay the money, you get access to your share certificate. You become an owner. Some of the questions that you might get asked, don't be offended by them. It's got nothing to do with me. The BEE Act specifies those types of criteria. It's just, they're not compulsory questions. The more information we get, the more we can answer. We have to be able to answer those questions. There is also, remember, there is also a tranche of shares, 13% actually of the company, that's also available to non-BEE candidates. So if you're still working in the company and you're not a BEE candidate, you can still have a piece. We're trying to make this as inclusive as possible, while at the same time getting at least 26% of our company to be BEE compliant. We already have some BEE shareholders, but we're building more. And that just makes sense to us. So there's it. That's the call to action. That's where we're going. There's links in the chat to the prospectus. There's links in the chat to the application form. I'm here to answer any questions that you have. If you feel that you believe in this vision of MyTechie and you'd like to make this investment and you've given it some thought and you can afford 100 Rand or 200 Rand or 500 Rand, doesn't matter, or whatever you can comfortably afford, then make application. Thank you very much for listening to my story. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm here to take questions.
Andre, thank you. That was really insightful and very, very exciting. Very few opportunities come around in a lifetime where there is a company that has been registered that will own 30% of the shares of MyTechie, and it's been open to MyTechies themselves. What you perhaps didn't, I may have missed it, is that we're giving you, the techie, your friends and your family, first opportunity because we launch it nationally on the 1st of September, which is Spring Day, new beginnings, new ideas, everything is blossoming and budding. So the official launch date will be the 1 September, and Andre was adamant that he wanted techies, friends and families of techies to, at the very least, be able to purchase shares before we went to the public nationally. So, Andre, it was incredibly exciting. I think to be able to own a share in a company, as you said, it gives you skin in the game. You will have a sense of pride. You are no longer, it's fantastic to put on your CV. I'm a shareholder. I mean, it's wonderful. So we really, as I said in the beginning, please don't be shy. There's no such thing as a silly question. Raise your hand. Let's start the debate. Let's chat. Is it a good idea? Is it a bad idea? Is it too cheap? Is it too expensive? Please, let's go through all of this evening. We've got another half an hour left. So anybody, if you want to raise your hand, I will take your question. Hi, good evening. You are saved as AC guest. So if you could just introduce yourself when you speak, that would be awesome. But please, you go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Chikungu Alet.
Ah, hello.
How are you?
Good, thank you. And you?
I'm very good. Okay. I've got, I think, 15 questions. So my question number one. Okay. I'm not very much glued up on when it comes to finances, but I wanted a clarification. Okay, let's say I happen to, or maybe we happen to buy, let's say 500 shares, each and every person who is in the meeting, all right? What are the immediate benefits, let's say, after that one? Since we are now, let's say, going to be part of MyTechie, are we going to be saying that maybe on the project that MyTechie going to be having there, are we going to be having on the profits, there certain profit shared margin on us or not? That's number one. Number two, let's also assume that all of us, maybe that the 34 people that are all 34 MyTechies buy shares in the company. The management composition, is it going to change to encompass these other new shareholders, or it still remains the same? Maybe for now I can have, I'll raise my case with these two questions.
Yeah, thanks, Alet. So profit share, obviously you're a shareholder, so you're going to get a profit share when we make a profit. We haven't made a profit yet. You saw the numbers. We are going to make a profit. That is the intention. But you will definitely, according to your shares and all the shareholders, the board meeting, if you read the shareholder agreement, the board meeting will decide what to do with the profits, whether they're going to reinvest it in the meeting, building, the company, or give a dividend to shareholders. As far as management component is concerned, UsizoZonke will get a seat on the board. And as we see who in UsizoZonke is wanting to participate, we'll draw from there. our management. We definitely want to leverage the intellectual property and the skills and the capability that sits in UsizoZonke, like people like yourselves and others, as to how we should guide this company. But we are going to do it in an ethical way. So there will be participation from UZ. I hope that answers your questions.
Alert, are you covered with those answers? Ah, okay. Spoo's next. Hi, Spoo. How are you? Alert dropped off. Spoo, you muted, but go ahead and ask your questions.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Ah, Spoo, you seem to be muted again.
How is it now?
Perfect. We can hear you.
Okay. Good evening, Sharon. Good evening to everybody. I've got only one question. I've already filled up that form online. Then where to from now? Because that form doesn't cover the banking details of the company. How do I pay my shares? You know.
Yeah, that's a good question. So we haven't put banking details yet. What we want to do, and we'll be starting now, is we're reviewing all those applications on the forms that have been filled in, and then once approved, you'll get an email with the approval and the banking details, because we might need to get clarification. Some people have misunderstood some of those questions, and they, for example, where it says the last question, how many shares do you want? They've put answers like 30%. Or they've put answers like 1,000. Do they mean 1,000 rand or 1,000 shares? So we need clarification. Once that's been resolved, you will get the banking details. We're not here to take your money without going through a proper governance process. So you will get a response by email if there's any clarification, and from that there will be banking details, and after that you will get confirmation of everything and your share certificate copy.
Thank you very much.
I think Spoo wants to ensure he gets certificate number 1.
Certificate 1's already been issued.
Oh dear. No, but Spoo, thank you very much. You've shown great interest and you've communicated with me directly on this behalf. And Spoo, we will probably, Andre and I, have a dedicated meeting with you when you have time next week to take it to your various structures within the province, because we would really like this to, we are going to be setting up on the 1st, we will be setting up one-on-one with other investors. So we'll definitely chat to you to set up dedicated ones throughout the province, or if you want nationally to talk to people. But thanks for that. That's awesome. Thanks, Spoo. Chetmore, please go ahead. Chetmore, can you speak a little louder? We're battling to hear you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Oh, very faint.
You might want to put your question in the chat if you have a problem.
Oh wait, that sounds better.
Hello.
Perfect.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes, my question is, what is the possible time frame given to MyTechie, since 1 September is just a week and a half away, and before it goes nationally?
Well, there's going to be plenty of time. There's 200,000 shares. They're not going to be sold in 2 weeks. They're going to be sold over months, if not years, at 2 or 3. So don't stress. You can take your time. You can think about it. Just open your account if you like with 100 Rand. Then you've got an account and you can always top it up as we go. I very much doubt this thing is going to fly off the shelf in a couple of days or weeks. Definitely, I don't think so. People need to think about this. And if anyone does want to buy a lot of shares, I'm going to speak to them personally, because I want to make sure that they're not borrowing money, that that we have to have a proper governance here. So you will have time, the first 2 weeks or so that we're talking about here is really just giving you a heads up and giving you an opportunity to give it some thought. And we're hoping, and I'm actually quite humbled by the amount of people that have already put their hand up and submitted their form, and they're going to get their emails shortly to say that they're willing to throw 500 Rand or 200 Rand in. I'm really humbled by that, and that just makes me want to work harder to make this thing work for you guys. So don't stress, there'll be time.
Checkmore, does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
Okay, TMT have just asked in the chat group. Let me just quickly read it. Their hand was up and then down. I'm just opening the chat group, and their question is,
what's the actual price per share?
Yes, and what is the total number of shares to be sold?
So the actual price per share, I'll put it up on the screen. Let me do that. This was one of the slides. It's 100 Rand that you're paying, but 88 Rand of that buys the share. And there's a little bit that's kept for administration. Let me put it up on the screen for you so that you do understand. It's also in the prospectus. It's detailed there in the prospectus, so it's very clear. Let me also do it this way so that you can see what the share price is. It's 88 Rand plus a little bit for administration, and it's a small shareholder loan. 11 Rand 16 for administration. But you're paying 100 Rand and you're getting one share for 100 Rand. The 88 Rand is what I get as the owner of the share. And obviously I have to pay tax on that. And then I use that money to purchase the systems that we need to build this business. We're not going to use this money to buy a new car, to go overseas. We're using this money for the business, for you. We need systems. We need this thing to work like a well-oiled machine, and those systems are not cheap. So that's it. And it's in the prospectus. Let's take another question while that's on the screen.
Yes, we've got Victor who's got his hand up. Hi, Victor. How are you?
Evening, everyone.
Evening.
Yes, am I audible?
You're audible. We can hear you nice and clear.
Oh, perfect. Right. I think I've got two questions. First one, it's am I allowed, let's say, for example, it's I want to buy shares individually, and then also I want to buy shares through my business. Is it allowed? If, let's say, my business buys shares, yes, and then also myself, I can buy shares?
Yes, a business can buy shares. We'll just ask you a slightly different question. What is the BE rating of your business? But an entity can, like a business, a CC or a PTY Limited can buy shares. Yes, the answer is yes. Okay. And as an individual, you can as well. And if you wanted to buy shares in the name of your daughter or your son, you can do that as well. It's entirely up. The share is owned by an individual or a company.
Okay, and then the second question is, let's say for example, maybe 5 years or 10 years down the line, I decide to sell my the shares. Do I sell it? I can sell it to anyone, or I should firstly consult and then sell it within the shareholders, or I can sell it to anyone in public?
That's a very good question. That is covered in the questions in the prospectus, but it's part of the shareholder agreement. So you can sell it to anyone. You just need to do it through the company secretary so that we record who you're selling it to. And the transfer would then have to happen on our records so that we match up the record of the company with who you've sold it to and whatever the price is. Let's say at some point in time, all of the shares are going to be sold. Then they might transact at a higher rate or whatever. Or maybe sometime in the future, this company gets listed on the stock market. Then there'll be a whole new change of things, but you will own those shares and you can trade them. The way it's sold now is you can sell it to anybody you like. You just have to inform the company secretary so that the records can be uploaded.
Okay. All right. I'm covered.
Awesome. Then we've got a question on the chat, Andre. Somebody wanting to know, will they be paid annually, the dividend, or will they be paid per term?
That depends on, one, if a company makes a profit. Secondly, it depends on the board's decision of what to do with the dividend. I can't predict that. There will be a member of the board from UsizoZonke, and they will decide. I would definitely like to start paying dividends as soon as we start making a decent profit, but it's likely to be annual at this stage, but it won't be. I don't see us making a profit realistically until maybe another year. We've probably got at least another year to go. So don't see this as a quick turnaround, but the board will decide that, and this company will have a seat on the board.
Yeah. And yeah, for sure. I mean, shares are, even on the JSE, I mean, you can, sometimes your share can actually be worth, not, you protected in this organization, but sometimes your shares can decline so dramatically during a day that you're getting cents on the dollar.
Well, this is not a publicly listed company.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. It's safe.
It doesn't have those vagaries.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying this is a safe environment to be purchasing shareholders, to be purchasing shares.
Chucky's asking a question about every 6 months. Yes, Chucky, as long as they aren't sold out, you can throw a couple of bucks onto the every few months as you wish. Instead of buying so many Zamaleks, you can spend some money on shares.
And guess what everybody's getting for Christmas this year? You get a share, you get a share, we all get a share. We'll be like Oprah.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah, so
or you can buy some Bitcoin if you want to, and then you
no, we're not going down that. Victor, have we concluded in your? Okay, we've concluded. Right, that's our first round of questions. Do we have any more questions? Any more comments? Do you think it's a good idea? Would you like to be a shareholder in a company that owns 30% of MyTechie? Oh, we've got a...
Adrian, you've got a question?
You muted in case you think we can hear you.
Oh, okay. How are you, ma'am?
Good.
Hello? Hello?
Hi, we can hear you.
Yeah, I just want to find out something, because since I've been member of MyTech since you started testing, now if I want to buy a share now, will it going to be something that is productive? Because ever since I've become one of your members, and I've been in contact with you, Mr. Andre Hoffman, since last year, and then asking, and you said no, the problem was that you've been having lockdown challenges. So now you have this company that bought 30% in your company. I don't know where do I see it. I just want you to make a clarity. Is there any progress that is going to happen so far? Because I can hear that most of the people want to know if they can invest individually or invest in a company. Because I don't like to invest for my company, and then maybe 5 years down the line, my company doesn't make anything it doesn't gain anything from MyTech or UsizoZonke. That's what I want to find out, a clarity there.
All right, so I'm just having a quick look at, so you run a company called Makango Group, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so you are part of us, and you're based in Witbank, in Mpumalanga.
Yes.
Okay, great. So I think we had one air fiber installation in Witbank not so long ago. Did you participate in that? Did you see that? Are you on the Witbank Middelburg group?
I just get the link only now when you introducing this is about Usizo.
Okay, so there's a link for Mpumalanga. There is work. Let me show you a picture of what opportunities there are in Witbank while you're on the area, so that you can see. Witbank is actually quite nice because it's Emahleni, right? Let me share some opportunities for you there. Let's go onto your share screen here. So that's Witbank. Let's just switch on a few things here. So That's the coverage that you have around Witbank for air fiber. And I don't think we've got any customers here. There are 2 base stations and not too many sales. So the opportunity here is for you and your team to help us sell and get into these towns and villages and people here. But not only that, let's look at another view of Witbank. Let's switch on some other things here. There's some, well, look at all that optic fiber that you've got there. We are now resellers of Supersonic. You can go and sell fiber in any of these estates here, and we can give you a commission. So there's opportunity. It's really just now about us learning and getting to know and getting into this thing and turning this thing into money for you. So we're pretty much there's opportunity. And there's also just up the road from you in Middelburg, there's also a huge amount of opportunity. And the smart energy, I see you're an electrician, so there's the smart energy project coming. So it's just a matter of time. You just need to help. We need to develop a good relationship, and then all this work can come to you here in this area, personally and for your business. So that's where the 85% comes.
So I have to...
Sorry, I've answered your question, but it's just a matter of time. We need to get the work to you.
Must come from my side.
Yes, so for every rand that we get for you, we keep 15 cents, you get 85 cents. That 15 cents will still generate a profit, which will eventually come back to you through UZ as profit share, because we're going to be doing this thing across the country for various providers. So you'll be participating at both ends for this. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. Okay, maybe from now, since you have now you are selling shares, maybe we're going to get our dividend by the end of the year.
You must help me keep honest, so that you say, Andre, I've got no work in Witbank, and then I'll say, let's go sell in Witbank. Let's have an activation there, and let's go sell, because when we sell, we get the installations. When we get installations, we get more work. It comes to you, to your team.
Okay, thank you very much, Andre.
It's a pleasure.
Andre, Janine, there's a few questions coming up on the chat. Unfortunately, I can't read them.
Okay, I'll read them.
Thank you. I'm having a little bit of power difficulty here.
Okay, Chucky wants to invest per month. We said that was good. Peter Rotlago says, will there be a commission if I manage the market shares? No, we haven't got a commission structure for shares at the moment. So Peter, sell rather air fiber and Supersonic. We'll give you commission on that for sure. Sibongele just joined us from KZN. Great initiative. Thank you. You're doing an installation for us in Wentworth, I believe. Look forward to seeing that happen. Power to the ladies. Great. That's it.
That's it. Then we've got Spoo is back, and he's got another question. Over to you, Spoo.
One thing that I want to add a clarity on it is a turnaround time on receiving material, for installation.
The installation material for air fiber, it's already available. You don't get material, you get the equipment. You have to produce your own material. The consumables you have to get. Every project is different. Some projects the clients give you material, some they don't. In the case of air fiber, you get the router, you get the antenna, and you get the PoE, and you've got to put it all together, and you've got to have some consumables, the bracket and the Ethernet cable and the earth spike, and that you have to do yourself, and they pay you a fixed rate for that.
I understand. Why I'm asking, it's just that I got a client who want to be installed, so what will be the turnaround time after I've been registered with Janine?
Okay.
Hi, Sabu. How are you doing? Okay, so I can answer that. As soon as the client has done their, I do the initial application on the portal. That takes me a couple of minutes. And then I send, not I, but Supersonic sends them a email I send a WhatsApp to the client saying, you're going to be getting this email from Supersonic. Please ensure you also check your junk mails because it often goes into junk mail. And they then go in on that email as either a new client or a returning client. If I pick up that it could be a returning client, I tell them you go in as a returning client. But often they are a new client and they'll go in and they'll create the login will be their email and they'll create a password. Then they need to just go in and load their ID document, proof of residence and banking information, and they've got to do the e-mandate. I can help them upload the documents, but unfortunately, I cannot do the e-mandate for them. They have to do the e-mandate. Once they've done the e-mandate, if they then WhatsApp me and say, Janine, the e-mandate is done, the very next day I get onto Supersonic and I say, can you please look at the commercials of this client? They've done everything that's needed. Their documents are uploaded, and it usually takes around 5 days from the time that I put it in, and if the client is on top of it and immediately does what's required, we generally get it back within about 5 days and it can go out for installation.
Janine, just to add to that, Spoon, Janine, Clements was giving Ayanda a call just to confirm that he wanted the technical details of the packages, the speeds, the throttlings, etc. So I had also asked Clements to drop a call just to explain the technicalities of the packages.
Yeah. So obviously, I think one of your clients had the potential for fiber. I think it's the client that you forwarded it that stays in Lenasia. I have offered them an open serve package because fiber obviously is a better option to go with and more stable option to go with than what air fiber, LTE and that is. If fiber wasn't available and it was air fiber and LTE, my next suggestion to them would be to go air fiber. Air fiber runs off its own base node and its own frequencies and it doesn't get interfered with, whereas LTE runs off the mobile networks and often when there's a lot of users on the mobile network, the speed drops and you get a problem with speed and those challenges when you go on LTE. LTE is still a good product, and if there's nothing else available, obviously LTE is the next step. But I do try and get them to go to either air fiber or fiber.
Okay, can we try and just stick
Does that help?
the questions?
Does that help? Does that give you an understanding on the process?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Awesome.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Spoo.